立法會主席。
The President. Well, duty staff, please take away the items on display. The Chief Executive will now present the policy address to the Council. The policy address is rather long, and I will adjourn the meeting 5 minutes in the middle of the policy address. Chief Executive. President, thank you very much for the opposition party members for the solemn and peaceful environment now. President, democratic development and economic progress in Hong Kong present a host of opportunities, but there are choices we have to make. On constitutional development, we have to choose between implementing universal suffrage and a standstill. On the economy, between progress and stagnation, and on people's livelihood, between reforms and clinging to the status quo. Hong Kong is a society that upholds the rule of law, provided we act in accordance with the law, capitalize on our opportunities, and make choices with courage. We will be able to pursue democracy, boost the economy, and improve people's livelihood. On economic development, Hong Kong is blessed with unique advantage of both one country, two systems. As part of China, we benefit from the rapid development of and enjoy preferential treatments from our country. At the same time, we benefit from having a system that is different from other mainland cities. By capitalizing on these advantages, not only can we expedite our growth, but we also continue to expand our existing lead industries and foster new industries to meet the development needs of the mainland and abroad. Through the diversification of our industries, we can create a more prosperous economy that provides young people with opportunities to put what they have learned to good use and allow all to realize their potential. On constitutional development, by adhering strictly to the basic law and the decision of the NPCSC on issues relating to the selection of CE by universal suffrage and on the method for forming an EDGCO in 2016, for the first time in Hong Kong's history, 5 million eligible voters will be able to select the Chief Executive by universal suffrage in 2017. This is a big step forward for Hong Kong's democratic development. With all these opportunities, we should stay alert. Taking the continuous economic development and full employment in recent years for granted, some people have underestimated the importance of economic growth. This calls for vigilance. People's livelihood depends on the economy, and fostering economic development is vital to improving people's livelihood. Sustained economic development will provide our young people with more and better employment opportunities and chances of upward mobility, increase people's income, and enhance the government's financial capacity in addressing problems relating to housing, poverty, aging population, and environmental protection. We must maintain our competitiveness in both the international and mainland markets and forestall any act that harms the investment and business environment. On constitutional development, we have to be wary of suggestions that deviate from the basic law. Discussions on constitutional development over the past year or so have revealed that many fail to properly understand the relationship between the central authorities and the HKSAR and the constitutional requirements relating to constitutional development. I should stress that under one country, two systems, Hong Kong is a special administrative region of our country. The basic law specifically provides for the relationship between the central authorities and the Hong Kong SAR. Hong Kong's power originates from the central authorities, and the delegation of power from the central authorities to Hong Kong is provided in the basic law. Hong Kong's autonomy under one country, two systems is a high degree of autonomy, not an absolute autonomy. It is a high degree of autonomy provided for in the basic law, not one based on any arbitrary interpretation. The formulation and development of our political structure must be based on the basic law and the relevant interpretations and decisions of the NPCSC. Under the basic law, the CE is accountable not only to the HKSAR but also the central government. The CE, whether returned by an election committee or by universal suffrage, and the principal officials nominated by the CE are all subject to appointment by the central government. The selection of the CE comprises both the elements of election and appointment. The system embodies the principles of one country, two systems, Hong Kong people administering Hong Kong, and a high degree of autonomy. This is a unique and unprecedented system. There is neither overseas precedent nor international standard of the kind. For Hong Kong to select the CE by universal suffrage, the basic law and the relevant interpretation and decisions of the NPCSC must be complied with. We fully recognize the aspirations of our young students for democracy and the concerns about political reforms. University students are future pillars of society and deserve our care. Hence, there is all the more reason for us to commend them for their merits and correct their mistakes. They should be guided towards a full understanding of the constitutional relationship between our country and Hong Kong, so that the discussion on constitutional development would not be fruitless. The 2014 February issue of the Undergrad, the official magazine of the Hong Kong University Students' Union, featured a cover story entitled Hong Kong People Deciding Their Own Fate. In 2013, a book named Hong Kong Nationalism was published by Undergrad. It advocates that Hong Kong should find a way to self-reliance and self-determination. Undergrad and other students, including student leaders of the Occupy movement, have misstated the facts. We must stay alert. We also ask political figures with close ties to the leaders of the student movement to advise them against putting forward such fallacies. The rule of law is the foundation of Hong Kong. Democratic development of Hong Kong must therefore be underpinned by the same. As we pursue democracy, we should act in accordance with the law, or Hong Kong will degenerate into anarchy. Since taking office, the current term government has progressively fulfilled pledges in my manifesto on housing, poverty, elderly care, and environmental protection. The related initiatives have begun to deliver results. By promoting economic development and taking forward constitutional development in accordance with the law, we will have greater capacity for implementing policies to improve people's livelihood. The relationship between the Sino-British Joint Declaration and universal suffrage has been mentioned in recent discussions on constitutional development. The relevant provisions of the JD state that the CE will be appointed by the CPG on the basis of the results of elections or consultations to be held locally. Principal officials will be nominated by the CE of the Hong Kong SAR for appointment by the Central People's Government. The above-stated basic policies of the PRC regarding Hong Kong and the elaboration of them in Annex 1 to this joint declaration will be stipulated in the basic law of the Hong Kong SAR of the People's Republic of China, and they will remain unchanged for 50 years. Universal suffrage for the CE election was stipulated for the first time in the Basic Law, not in the Joint Declaration. Article 45 of the Basic Law provides that the method for selecting the CE shall be specified in the light of the actual situation in the HKSAR and in accordance with the principle of gradual and orderly progress. The ultimate aim of the selection of the CE by universal suffrage upon nomination by a broadly representative nominating committee in accordance with democratic procedures. The specific method for selecting the CE is prescribed in Annex 1, Method for Selection of the CE of the HKSAR. Annex 1 of the Basic Law further states that if there is a need to amend the method for selecting the CE for the term subsequent to 2007, such amendments must be made with the endorsement of 2/3 majority of the members of LegCo and the consent of CE. They shall be reported to the NPCSC for approval. Therefore, the substantive power to decide on constitutional development rests with the central authorities. The decision of the NPCSC has irrefutable legal status and is legally valid. The slogan of Hong Kong shall resolve Hong Kong's problems does not conform with the constitutional arrangements. The Basic Law clearly stipulates that the power to nominate candidates of the CE election rests only with the nominating committee. Over the past year, the central authorities and the HKSAR government have repeatedly pointed out that civic nomination does not comply with the Basic Law. Last Wednesday, the government announced the launch of the second round of public consultation on the method of selecting the CE by universal suffrage. I sincerely hope the community will make good use of the 2-month consultation to discuss the issues rationally and pragmatically within the framework of the Basic Law and the relevant interpretation and decisions of the NPCSC, respect to the rule of law and forge consensus. By doing so, 5 million voters can select the CE through one person, one vote in 2017. The incidents in the past few months show that Hong Kong people will not agree to means of expression that deny others their rights and will not condone any unlawful acts. Economy. Trading, financial services, shipping, tourism, and professional services are Hong Kong's pillar industries. Apart from them, many emerging industries of a small scale but with great potential deserve the community's attention and government support. Industries in Hong Kong, regardless of scale, share a common advantage. That is, Hong Kong is an important link and a connector between the mainland and the rest of the world. To promote economic development, Hong Kong should put emphasis on building economic ties with both the mainland and overseas countries. At present, more than 7,500 overseas and mainland enterprises have offices in Hong Kong, of which about half are regional headquarters or regional offices. Hong Kong was the world's 8th largest trading entity in goods in 2013. The overall trade volume between Hong Kong and the mainland accounted for more than half of our total trade value. The import and export trading sector and the wholesale industry had the largest number of employees in Hong Kong, with about 500,000 persons. The Hong Kong SAR government will continue to assist Hong Kong enterprises to develop the mainland market by brand building, upgrading and restructuring operations, exploring domestic sales through the $1 billion dedicated fund. As to fostering and facilitating international trade, apart from active participation in the WTO multilateral and plurilateral negotiations, the Hong Kong SAR government seeks to negotiate and conclude free trade agreements with individual countries and regions. Last July, we commenced formal negotiations with the 10 ASEAN countries for a free trade agreement. The service sector accounts for more than 90% of our GDP and is a very important component of our economy. In December 2014, the HKSAR government and the Ministry of Commerce signed the agreement on achieving basic liberalization of trade and services in Guangdong, ushering in the basic liberalization of trade and services between Guangdong and Hong Kong. We will continue our earnest efforts to seek further market liberalization in the mainland with a view to achieving basic liberalization of trade and services between the entire mainland and Hong Kong by the end of this year. The HKSAR has submitted its proposals for the national 13th five-year plan to the central government. The central government announced last December that in addition to the Shanghai Pilot Free Trade Zone, 3 more will be established on March 1, 2015. The Guangdong Pilot FTZ, covering new areas of Nansha, Tianhai, and Hengqin, can leverage Hong Kong's edge to promote in-depth cooperation between Hong Kong and Guangdong. Tianhai is adjacent to Hong Kong, and Nansha is the largest of the 3. The room for business and development for people and enterprises of Hong Kong will be vastly expanded. The government will maintain close collaboration with Guangdong provincial government throughout the planning and development to actively pursue new modes of cooperation, the most favorable treatment, and the biggest development opportunity for Hong Kong people and enterprises. At present, Hong Kong has a number of offices in the mainland and abroad, serving as channels for promotion and networking. We have 11 overseas economic and trade offices. In the light of the shift of the global economic balance towards the east, Hong Kong needs to increase the number of offices in the Asian region. With the establishment of the Wuhan ETO last April, the HKSAR government has a more comprehensive network in the mainland. To further improve this network, we set up a liaison unit in Liaoning Province in December 2014. Another liaison unit in Shandong Province will be set up in the first half of this year. Upon the full operation of the Wuhan ETO, 1 more liaison unit will be set up in the central region. Hong Kong is a major international financial center as well as China's leading global financial center. We have to capitalize on this dual identity. There is room to further diversify financial services in Hong Kong. The Financial Services Development Council has recommended specific proposals raised by the financial sector to leverage our advantages and promote diversification. The significance of the Shanghai-Hong Kong Stock Connect can be best appreciated when seen in the broader context of the well-defined plan of our country for financial liberalization. The Stock Connect links the mainland market with international markets and enhances Hong Kong's role as a connector on the financial front. By increasing liquidity in the offshore RMB market and by providing a wider choice of RMB investment products in Hong Kong, it contributes to the continuous growth of our financial sector. The government introduced the Insurance Companies Amendment Bill to the Council last April and proposed the establishment of an independent insurance authority. The government will allocate $500 million to the authority to meet part of its initial operating expenses and contingency reserve. With high per capita incomes, professional services play an integral part in Hong Kong's economy. In recent years, the industry has actively expanded its presence in the mainland. The development of professional services has been gaining momentum. Take legal, accountancy, auditing, architecture, and engineering as an example. The average annual growth of their value added was 9.9% from 2007 to 2012, far exceeding the overall economic growth of 4.6% over the same period. In 2012, professional services contributed as much as 4.7% of our GDP, equivalent to the contribution of the whole tourism industry, providing nearly 200,000 job opportunities. At present, through the CIPA, many professional services sectors can enjoy preferential access to the mainland market. We will continue to foster the development of professional services. The total gross tonnage of vessels on the Hong Kong Shipping Registry is the fourth largest in the world. There are about 700 shipping-related companies in the city offering comprehensive maritime services, including ship management, broking and chartering, finance, maritime insurance, maritime law, and arbitration and support services. With the continuous expansion of our country's maritime and shipbuilding industries, our maritime services sector has enormous potential for growth. Hong Kong is well positioned to serve as a springboard for mainland maritime companies looking to go global, as well as a platform for international companies to tap the mainland market. Hong Kong has what it takes to become an important international maritime services hub for China and the Asian Pacific region. Hong Kong offers a wide range of marine insurance products and services. We also have the highest concentration of insurers in Asia. There are more than 150 sanctioned insurers, of which 91 are authorized to provide marine and cargo insurance. These include 7 of the 13 members of the International Group of Protection and Indemnity, the largest cluster of representatives outside London. The gross premiums of marine and cargo insurance amounted to $2.1 billion in 2013 and saw considerable growth in 2014. The government will continue to take forward the establishment of a new maritime body to promote Hong Kong's maritime services industry. Meanwhile, the government will enhance the functions of Maritime Industry Council to step up its efforts to foster the development of the industry and nurture talent, especially in high-end professional services. In the coming year, the government will join the industry and the TDC to launch promotional events overseas and in the mainland to attract more high-value-added maritime services companies to cluster in Hong Kong. It is also important to expand our pool of talent. The government set up the Maritime and Aviation Training Fund in April 2014, which aims to attract young new blood and provide financial support for enhancing professionalism and skill level. Driven by the economic growth, the aviation industry in the mainland has seen rapid development. To grasp this opportunity and taking into account the recommendation of the Economic Development Commission, the government is studying the development of aerospace financing business so as to strengthen our status as an international aviation and financial center. The government will continue to give full support to the Airport Authority to implement the 3-runway project. The project aims to strengthen our position as an international and regional transportation hub. The AA has completed the study on the master layout plan of the airport's North Commercial District, and it will soon commence the first stage of retail development. It will also take forward the planning and development of the land reserved for cargo use at the South Cargo Precinct of the Airport Island. The government is carrying out infrastructure at the runway and south apron of the former airport to tie in with the hotel development adjacent to the Kai-Tak cruise terminal. We will encourage developers to include conference facilities in these hotels. Both theme parks are pressing ahead with expansion plans. The operating results of the Hong Kong Disneyland are improving, and we will commence discussion on the Phase 2 development of the Hong Kong Disneyland Resort with the Walt Disney Company. The government has commissioned a consultancy study to assess the future demand for convention and exhibition facilities, and will consider constructing a new convention center above the exhibition station of the Sha Tin Central Link around 2020. Innovation and technology can diversify the economy, provide wider job opportunities in R&D, and enhance the competitiveness and growth of the related industries. According to the latest Global Innovation Index by Cornell University, Hong Kong ranked amongst the 10 most innovative places out of some 140 economies surveyed. The government provides a strategic environment for innovation and technology development through 5 core strategies. They include providing world-class infrastructure for enterprises, research institutions, and universities, offering financial support to stakeholders, academia, and research sector to commercialize their R&D deliverables, nurturing talent, strengthening collaboration with the mainland and other places in science and technology, and fostering a vibrant culture of innovation. Hong Kong's gross domestic expenditure on R&D increased from $7.1 billion in 2001 to $15.6 billion in 2013, an average annual growth of 7%. The number of R&D personnel has more than doubled during the same period. The Science Park is currently home to nearly 500 partner companies, providing more than 10,000 technology-related jobs. By the time Phase 3 comes into operation in 2016, it will accommodate more than 600 partner companies. The Hong Kong Science and Technology Parks Corporation has proposed optimizing the use of the remaining vacant site for the development of new R&D facilities. On the financial support, the government's IT fund has provided about $8.9 billion for more than 4,200 projects. The funding scope of the ITF was expanded in mid-2014, providing stronger support for downstream R&D projects in our universities. Last September, we launched the Technology Startup Support Scheme to encourage university students and teaching staff to start their own technology business and commercialize their R&D deliverables. I propose injecting $5 billion into the ITF and submitting the research and development cash rebate scheme under the fund. The government is also setting up the enterprise support scheme to enhance our funding support for R&D projects of the private sector. There are currently 16 partner state key laboratories in Hong Kong covering a spectrum of scientific and technological disciplines. We've also started the first round of applications for Hong Kong branches of the Chinese National Engineering Research Centers to invite participation of universities and research centers in Hong Kong. We need dedicated leadership and stronger policy coordination for more effective organization among the government, industry, academia, and the research sector. To this end, we are working to set up the IT Bureau and have submitted our proposal to this Council. The latest Digital 21 strategy envisions that the government will make wider use of sensors, the Internet of Things, and big data analytics for better public services and sustainable social and economic growth. We intend to use Kowloon East as a pilot to explore the feasibility of developing a smart city. Dispute resolution services. Hong Kong's tradition of the rule of law and our legal system are conducive to the development of legal and dispute resolution services. Last year, the China Maritime Arbitration Commission established an office in Hong Kong, its first branch office outside the mainland. The central government and the Hong Kong SAR government have recently signed the host country agreement and the memorandum of administrative arrangements, respectively, with the Permanent Court of Arbitration on dispute settlement proceedings in Hong Kong by the court. Renowned arbitration institutions such as International Court Arbitration The China International Economic and Trade Arbitration Commission and the China Maritime Arbitration Commission have set up offices in Hong Kong in recent years. With increasing maritime activities in Asia, maritime arbitration has immense potential. Arbitration awards made in Hong Kong are enforceable in over 150 contracting states of the New York Convention and also in the mainland and Macau. We will actively further advance development in this area. Creative industries. Hong Kong's cultural and creative industries have grown at a rate faster than overall economy in recent years. From 2005 to 2012, the value added of the cultural and creative industries increased rapidly at an annual rate of 9.4%. During the same period, the value added of the design sector has tripled, and the number of jobs increased by nearly 50%. We will maintain our support for Hong Kong Design Center and provide subsidies to enable more local designers and design graduates to undertake internship and further their studies overseas. We will also consider expanding design incubation program. Going to the cinema is a major form of entertainment. The government will consider reserving space for cinemas in major cultural and entertainment development areas and will explore ways to facilitate cinema development through land sale and planning. We will continue to promote the development of Hong Kong's film industry through a four-pronged strategy. We will first encourage more local film production. 2. Nurture production talent. 3. Promote film appreciation among students and young people to build audience. 4. Showcase and promote the brand of Hong Kong films in the mainland Taiwan and overseas. Facilitate the participation of local films in international film festivals and help drive Hong Kong's development as a film financing platform in Asia. We will inject funding into the Film Development Fund to support the above strategy. Intellectual property. China will have a rising status as a major IP user, buyer, provider, as well as seller. Hong Kong can play a key role in providing mainland and overseas players with a wide range of intermediary services in such areas as IP agency and management, consultancy, legal services, dispute resolution, and due diligence. The Working Group on Intellectual Property Trading, established by the government in 2013, has formulated its support strategies and corresponding initiatives are being implemented. For example, the TDC's Asia IP Exchange has showcased more than 25,000 IP listings and formed strategic alliances with 28 partners from overseas to mainland and Hong Kong. Modernization of agriculture. Conscious action and support from the government is crucial to the survival and development of local agriculture, which might otherwise diminish gradually. The government has recently proposed a new agricultural policy which will be underpinned by supportive measures including the establishment of the Agri-Park and a Sustainable Agriculture Development Fund to encourage the application of advanced technologies to local agriculture and enhance the industry's overall competitiveness, help farmers move up the value chain and expand the marketing of local products and brand building, and promote other auxiliary activities which will raise the income of farmers. The Agri-Park with knowledge transfer and while the SADF will provide financial support.
Housing. Housing is most critical for all livelihood issues in Hong Kong. The current time government is not only determined to avert the supply-demand imbalance progressively, but is also confident and capable of achieving this. The long-term housing strategy released last month sets out the direction of Hong Kong's housing policy with a view to addressing housing problems with a multi-pronged approach. Public rental housing. After taking office, the current term government has been vigorously speeding up the development of public housing, and public rental housing production has seen continuous increase. It is estimated that during the 5 years from 2014-15 to 2018-19, a total of 77,100 PRH units will be completed, among which 23,300 units are scheduled to complete in 2015-16. In the LTHS, we have maintained our PRH production target of about 20,000 units each year for the next decade. To achieve this target, I have requested the relevant departments to keep coordinating priorities, making proper planning, and provide suitable community facilities so as to increase supply. However, of critical importance is the support of local communities and other people. Meanwhile, the safety risks concerning subdivided flats, especially those in industrial buildings, should not be overlooked. The Buildings Department will continue its efforts to totally ban the subdivided flats used for domestic purposes in industrial buildings. It will step up prosecution against owners who fail to comply with the relevant orders. As to the subdivided flats in domestic and composite buildings, the BD will continue to take more vigorous enforcement actions against irregularities involving building and fire safety. Should any occupants be rendered homeless as a result of these actions, the government will provide them with transitional accommodation in accordance with the current mechanism. Subsidized home ownership. High property prices decrease the public's relative ability to purchase a home and result in a marked increase in demand from low and middle income families for home ownership flats or other subsidized flats. Greenville Villa, put up for pre-sale by the Hong Kong Housing Society at the end of 2012, and the first batch of 2,160 new HOS flats put up for pre-sale by the Housing Authority last month received an overwhelming public response. We must therefore actively explore ways to increase the supply of sale flats through a multi-pronged approach by engaging public or non-profit making organizations, including the Housing Authority, HKSAR, and the Hong Kong Settlers Housing Corporation Limited. By doing so, more property choices and home ownership opportunities will be provided for low and middle income families. The Housing Authority will put up approximately 2,700 and 2,000 HOS flats for pre-sale in 2015-16 and 2016-17 respectively. The HKHS will also offer 1,600 subsidized sale flats for pre-sale in 2016-17. Of these flats, 1,000 will be units provided in Sha Tin at the government's request made in 2013. Moreover, 2 sites in Tseung Kwan O and Tuen Mun, respectively, have been set aside for development by the HKHS, providing an estimated total of about 600 units. In addition to the Housing Authority's HOS flats and the subsidized sale flats of the HKHS, I consider that there should be different forms of subsidized sale flats to meet the needs of different people. To further improve the housing ladder, I have proposed to the Housing Authority that suitable flats should be identified among its PRH developments under construction for sale to green form applicants in the form of a pilot scheme with prices set at a level lower than those of the HOS flats. Target buyers are mainly sitting PRH tenants and PRH applicants who have passed the detailed vetting and are due for flat allocation. This scheme will help green form applicants achieve home ownership while releasing more PRH flats for allocation to families on PRH waiting lists. In addition, in light of experience gained from private sector participation scheme and mixed development pilot schemes, I consider that we can vigorously explore ways to further leverage the private sector's capacity to assist in increasing and accelerating the supply of subsidized sales flats. Private housing. On private housing, according to the latest projection in December 2014, the housing supply from first-hand private residential property market for the coming 3 to 4 years is approximately 70,000 units, which is the highest on record. The private sector only produced an average of about 11,400 flats each year over the past 5 years. Based on the preliminary assessment of private residential developments known to have started or to be started on disposed sites, the private sector will, on average, produce about 14,600 flats each year in the next 5 years, representing an increase of about 30%. The government will continue to maintain the stable and healthy development of the private property market through steady and sustained land supply and implementation of demand management measures when necessary. Land. There is a serious mismatch between the supply of land and the needs of our society. The short supply of land and housing has led to rising property prices and rents. High property prices and rents have prevented many young people from forming a family or starting their own business. This has also resulted in cramped living space for society as a whole and insufficient space for social welfare facilities such as kindergartens, elderly homes, and residential care homes for persons with disabilities. We have an ever-long PRH waiting list, and an increasing number of people have seen their living environment deteriorate. Some have no alternative but to live in subdivided units, industrial buildings. Small and medium-sized enterprises face great operation difficulties, while overseas investors are disheartened by the difficulty in establishing a business base in Hong Kong. The root of many social and economic problems in Hong Kong lies in the shortage of land for development. What Hong Kong lacks is not land, but land that is developable. The difference lies in the need for land planning and development. The process of land planning and development takes time. Hong Kong experienced a long period of economic downturn and saw a declining property market after the Asian financial crisis. The government scaled back the speed and scope of our planning and development of land and did not foresee the huge demand for developable land as a result of the eventual economic recovery. A substantial amount of land was sold for non-development uses, such as country parks, to improve the environment. We also lowered the development density of land newly planned for development. These are the causes for serious shortage of housing supply that we have been facing in recent years. The consultation process for land planning and development has become drawn out, with increasing controversies and uncertainties, including the uncertainties and time loss brought about by judicial reviews. We have to take into consideration more and more factors, such as the impact on traffic, environment, conservation, and even air ventilation in the planning process. As a result, the supply of developable land has decreased or decelerated. Society as a whole must make hard choices. Planning must reflect the overall interests of Hong Kong and heed the priorities of society's needs. We should not only consider the well-being of individual areas in planning and development, but also the overall housing supply and demand of Hong Kong as a whole. We cannot have our cake and eat it. If we opt for a lower development intensity, traffic flow will be smoother and the living environment will be nicer. However, the overall housing supply will be lower, which will lengthen the waiting time for PRH and push up property prices and rents. Town planning and land supply should not cater only for the people who can afford expensive properties, but also for those facing difficulties finding a home due to inadequate supply. At present, the most pressing concern is to ensure adequate and speedy land supply for development. Increasing and expediting land supply is a fundamental solution to resolve the land and housing problems of Hong Kong. Short and medium-term land supply. In the past 2 years, the Development Bureau and relevant departments have stepped up their efforts to increase land supply and build up a land reserve by adopting a multi-pronged strategy and various short, medium, and long-term measures. This will help meet public's housing and other needs. We are pressing ahead with all the initiatives, and the progress is as follows. We have been carrying out land use reviews on an ongoing basis. Such reviews include examination of government sites which are vacant, held under short-term tenancy, and for other short-term or government uses, GIC sites, and 2 stages of Greenbelt review. I announced in my last year policy address that some 150 sites have been identified. We estimate that a considerable number of these sites will be available for residential use between 2014-15 and 2018-19 and are capable of providing about 210,000 residential units, of which over 70% will be public housing units. This will only be possible if we can successfully complete the town planning procedures for rezoning and/or increasing development density and press ahead with all the necessary works. Relevant district councils have been consulted on the overall planning of these sites, as at the end of December 2014, amendment to the strategy plans of 45 sites had started. Moreover, a few sizable sites which were not required for intended uses have been converted for housing, development, or other uses that meet more pressing needs, with a view to achieving our housing target of 480,000 public and private residential units in the next decade. To optimize land use, we will increase as appropriate development density. Since the inauguration of the current term government, the Town Planning Board has approved applications to relax the development intensity of 26 housing sites, leading to an additional supply of about 3,500 units. To tie in with the transformation of Kowloon East, we are reviewing the planning for Kai Tak development and the technical studies on the development intensity. It is anticipated that the Kai Tak development area will provide no fewer than 6,100 additional units, including about 1,000 units already approved, and no fewer than 430,000 square meters of additional commercial floor space. The development of the former Diamond Hills Quarters, Taiham Village, the former Charcoal Link Kaolin Mine, and former Lama Quarry are making good progress. These three development projects are expected to provide over 8,000 public and private residential units. The housing sites in the Anderson Road Quarry will be made available for development as early as 2019-20 to provide over 9,000 public and private residential units. In addition, the government will commence the initial study on the land use of the Lam Teh Quarry and its adjoining area in 2015. The government will also actively considering making use of private developers' capacity to expedite the relevant development. We believe that private sector participation will help facilitate the development of tourism and commercial facilities. The government will relax outdated restrictions and streamline procedures to facilitate land development. For example, in last year's policy address, I announced lifting the development moratorium on the area close to Walford Estate for public housing development and the redevelopment of Walford Estate to provide about 11,900 additional PRH units. The pilot scheme for arbitration on land premium has been launched to facilitate agreement on land premium for lease modification or land exchange application with a view to expediting land supply for housing and other uses. Since its inauguration, the current time government has continued to increase private housing land supply. It is estimated that the private housing land supply in 2015-15 is capable of providing more than 20,000 residential units, a record high since the government introduced the private housing land supply target in 2010. On land sales, from April 2012 to December 2014, the government sold 73 private residential sites capable of providing about 25,400 units. Most of the sites put up for sale were of small to medium size, and the entry barrier to tendering was relatively low. As a result, over 40 developers of different scales were awarded sites. We see increasing competition among the developers in bidding land and selling flats. Recently, the MTRCL completed the planning procedure for property development project at the West Rail Yuen Long Station, which is capable of providing about 1,880 units. The government also encourages the MTRCL to launch its property development projects as soon as possible, and the MTRCL has responded positively. Last year, the company successfully tendered 3 projects capable of providing about 6,100 units. The MTRCL is embarking on tendering work for other projects. The government is taking forward the planning for residential development at West Rail Kam Sheung Road Station and the Pat Hang Maintenance Center in Kam Tin South, which are expected to provide about 8,700 units. The preliminary land use review of the adjoining areas has been completed, and these areas are estimated to have potential for providing approximately 25,000 additional units. At the same time, we will continue to actively explore with MTRCL and the Kowloon Canton Railway Corporation the development potential of stations and related sites along existing and future rail lines such as Ho Wan and Lantau. Commercial and economic land uses. The demand of economic activities for office, retailing, hotel, trading, and logistics spaces is huge. The government will continue to do so through measures such as converting suitable GIC sites in core business districts into commercial use. The 2 multi-story car parks at Murray Road in Central and Rumsey Street in Sheung Wan are estimated to be able to provide some 76,000 square meters of floor area. Likewise, the former Mong Kong Market site will be converted for commercial use, providing about 6,400 square meters of commercial floor area. The government will also convert the use of government sites at Caroline Hill Road as soon as possible to release more commercial floor space. Kowloon East, as an alternative core business district for Hong Kong, has the potential to supply an additional commercial office floor area of about 5 million square meters. The government is considering relocating or rationalizing the existing government facilities in the 2 action areas of Kowloon East. Starting from 2014-15, some suitable sites within the action areas will be made available to the market. The government will also comprehensively develop the concept of a walkable Kowloon East in Kowloon Bay and Kwun Tong business area to improve the pedestrian environment and address traffic issues. We will study arrangements to facilitate the construction of elevated walkways by private property owners and examine the feasibility of facelifting back alleys and linking them to pedestrian network. In addition, the government will continue to take forward the Kai-Tak Fantasy project and commence studies on its planning, engineering, and mode of implementation to take forward the project in phases with a view to developing a world-class tourism, entertainment, and leisure attraction. With its proximity to Hong Kong Island, the proposed East Lantau metropolis in the eastern waters of Lantau can be linked to Hong Kong Island, Lantau, and New Territories West by transport infrastructure. The metropolis will accommodate new population and serve as a new CBD in addition to Central and Kowloon East. We will seek to start the preliminary study of the metropolis as soon as possible. As at end December 2014, the Lands Department approved 105 applications for lease modification and special waiver through the revitalization measures for industrial buildings. It is anticipated that about 1.24 million square meters of converted or new floor area will be available for commercial or other uses. Long-term land supply. I met a 5-year-old who asked me, "Chief Executive, where shall I live when I grow up? Will there be enough land in Hong Kong?" The government's term of office is 5 years, whereas that of the Legislative Council is 4 years. But increasing land supply takes a much longer time. We must address the question raised by this child in a pragmatic manner. Apart from making the right choices of land use, we must also undertake long-term land planning and development. In the medium and long term, Kutong North and Fanling North NDAs will be an important source of housing and land supply for Hong Kong, especially in terms of PRH and HOS flats. The NDAs will deliver about 60,000 residential units, of which 60% will be PRH and HOS flats. It is anticipated that the first batch of residential units will be completed in phases from 2023 onwards. We have commenced the detailed design and ground investigation of advanced works for the Fanling North NDA. We will carry out the advanced work subsequently. The Stage 2 community engagement and the Hong Shui Kiu NDA planning and engineering study was completed in October 2013. It involves about 60,000 residential units, of which more than half will be for public housing. According to the study, the vicinity of the proposed West Rail Hong Shui Kiu station and the existing Tin Shui Wai station will be used for commercial development, and about 60 hectares of land will be set aside for logistics and related developments. The Stage 3 community engagement will commence this year. With the completion of the Hong Kong-Macau-Zhuhai Bridge and the Chun Mun Chek Lap Kok Link, Tung Chung will become an important transportation hub for Pearl River Delta and Western Guangdong. The Stage 3 public engagement of Tung Chung New Town Extension study was also completed. The New Town Extension will provide about 48,000 residential units, and a commercial hub will be established in Tung Chung East. The URA will continue to redevelop old and dilapidated private buildings through self-initiated redevelopment projects and the demand-led redevelopment project pilot scheme. Last year, the URA successfully tendered the San San Road, Pao Chung Street project and the Kwun Tong Town Centre project development areas 2 and 3, and awarded tenders for 2 joint venture projects in Hai Tan Street at the end of the year. These redevelopment projects tendered in 2014-15 will provide about 2,700 units. To better use agricultural land now mainly used for industrial purposes or temporary storage, or which is deserted, the government will continue to review a total of about 250 hectares of such sites in North District and Yuen Long, with a view to ascertaining the feasibility of and scale for residential development of these sites. In this connection, Kutong South, Yuen Long South, and Fanling Sheung Shui Area 30 have been identified for planning and engineering studies. The study of Kutong South and Yuen Long South have commenced, while the study of Fanling Sheung Shui Area 30 is being conducted in 2 phases, with Phase 1 scheduled for completion next year. The brownfield sites in Hong Shui Kiu, Yuen Long South, and New Territory North have been used for years for purposes incompatible with the surrounding environment. The government is studying feasible measures, including accommodating some of the users in multi-story buildings and taking the brownfield sites inside the Hong Kong NDA as a pilot case, with a view to taking forward the development NDAs. Reclamation outside Victoria Harbour is an important source of long-term land supply. The cumulative environmental impact assessment of the Western Hong Kong waters is largely completed. Taking the assessment findings into account, the government plans to commence a planning and engineering study on the Long Kwu Tan reclamation at Chun Mun 2015. The government commenced in the second half of 2014 the investigation on the design of relocation of Sha Tin sewage treatment works to rock havens and the feasibility studies on relocating 3 other facilities to havens. A total of 34 hectares of land will be released for development. The government will also commence a pilot study on underground space development in 4 strategic districts in early 2015. The government is conducting the preliminary feasibility study on developing the new territories north to meet Hong Kong long-term needs. Since its establishment in January last year, the Lantau Development Advisory Committee has examined in detail the positioning and recommendations for short, medium, and long-term economic and community development in Lantau. This seeks to capitalize on the benefits brought by the 3-runway system of Hong Kong International Airport and Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge and other strategic infrastructure in the area, and to attain synergy with the GPRD development. In 2015, short-term projects such as the revitalization of Tai Ho Mui Wall, construction of mountain bike trails, improvements to narrow road bends along Kengshan Road and South Lantau Road, and review of arrangements for closed roads and issuance of closed road permits for Lantau will be rolled out in full swing. In the medium term, we will continue with the development of Tung Chung New Town Extension and proceed to commence studies in connection with the reclamation in Sunny Bay and topside commercial development on the Hong Kong boundary crossing facility for Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge. In the long term, we will seek support of this Council for early commencement of preliminary study on East Lantau Metropolis and to look into the development of artificial islands in eastern waters of Lantau, including the provision of ancillary transport infrastructure to link up to the western part of NT and Hong Kong Islands. Public participation in long-term planning. The Development Bureau and Planning Department are updating the Hong Kong 2030 Planning Vision and Strategy, published in 2007, to examine the strategies and feasibility options for overall spatial planning, land infrastructure development for Hong Kong beyond 2030 in the light of our latest needs. The current time government is committed to putting an end to the long-standing shortage of land supply. The government plans to hold multi-party discussion with all sectors of the community, such as professional bodies, environmental groups, local communities, and young students, in order to jointly examine the issues concerned, balance competing considerations, break through the bottlenecks, and solve the problems. Construction industry. The government has been working with the Construction Industry Council (CIC) and members of the sector to promote the healthy development of the construction industry. Following the amendment of Construction Workers Registration Ordinance in 2014, the requirements of the designated workers for designated trades will be implemented under the Construction Workers Registration Scheme in 2017. Skilled construction workers will then be required to register according to their respective skills. This will help further raise the quality of construction workers as well as the professional image of construction workers and attract more people to join the industry. All along, the CIC has mainly provided training to workers to bring them to semi-skilled level. In this regard, the government will provide $100 million for the CIC to strengthen their work to train skilled workers for the industry. We will make continuous efforts to enhance the professional development of construction workers and provide them with more progression pathways. The construction industry is facing the problem of a severe shortage and aging of skilled workers. Although the government and CIC have made strenuous efforts in recent years to train local skilled workers and enhance the industry's professional image and have attracted many new entrants to the industry, the key demand has yet to be met. If the shortage of skilled workers cannot be properly dealt with, it will seriously affect the implementation of public housing, hospital, school, and public transport projects, and will also indirectly lead to the escalation of construction costs. To this end, the government The construction industry and the community must work together in a pragmatic manner and stay united to embrace the challenges ahead. We must take the most appropriate measures to tackle the problem of acute manpower shortage comprehensively and effectively. On the overriding premise of giving priority to the employment of local skilled workers, safeguarding their income levels, as well as promoting training to the construction workforce in a continuous manner, the construction industry needs to import skilled workers in a timely and effective manner to meet demand. The government rolled out measures to enhance the supplementary levy scheme last April specifically for the construction industry in relation to public sector works projects. Nonetheless, the relevant measures have yet to fully address the key demand of the industry. We need to launch further enhanced measures having regard to the unique characteristics of the construction industry. For example, since construction works are carried out in sequential order and may be affected by factors such as supply of materials, progress upstream work processes, and so on, allowing imported skilled workers to work across various public sector works projects can enhance visibility of deployment, maximize the productivity of skilled workers, and control costs more effectively. The government will liaise closely with the construction industry and labor sector on the detailed arrangements for the relevant measures and review their effectiveness in a timely manner. If these measures still cannot effectively resolve the acute shortage problem of skilled workers, we will explore with the construction industry and labor sector the introduction of other more effective and appropriate measures to reduce adverse effects on Hong Kong's economic and social development. To give priority to local workers in employment, the government will set up a dedicated construction industry recruitment center. The center will provide career counseling services, conduct on-the-spot job interviews, and organize job fairs for local construction workers and assist contractors in according priority to employing qualified local skilled workers. Transport. A safe, reliable, and highly efficient railway service is of paramount importance to the public transport system of Hong Kong. The government will continue to proactively carry out its duty as the majority shareholder of the MTRCL. We will monitor the MTRCL and require the corporation to strengthen its management to ensure proper delivery of planning and construction of new railways and the daily operation of existing services. For long-term development, we will, pursuant to the Railway Development Strategy 2014 announced last year, implement 7 new railway projects in phases by 2031. The government will conduct an in-depth study on public transport arrangements in Hong Kong in tandem with the railway network expansion. We will review the roles of other public transport services. We will also continue to pursue bus route rationalization. I announced the initiative on Universal Accessibility Program in August 2012, which aims at expanding the scope of the government's program to retrofit existing public walkways with barrier-free access facilities to benefit the public. The government is taking forward more than 200 projects to retrofit barrier-free facilities, including the 3 priority projects identified by HDC. It is expected that most of the projects will be completed in phases in the coming 4 years. The Council is now adjourned.